Let's do it.
Welcome into the Illini Nation pregame show. Brett Behrens and Derek Piper here from Illini Inquirer, getting you set for some Friday night hoops. This is the first of 6 Friday night games for Illinois this year, Derek. Not too bad for Illini Nation to get some Friday night basketball. Illinois hosting Oakland, 7 o'clock. Big Ten Plus only game. Second straight streaming only option. Welcome to 2023, Derek.
Wow. Here we got Wisconsin and Tennessee, the second best game available to watch tonight. Of course, Duke and Arizona is the best, which we're not going to get to see everything of. But that one's on Peacock. So if you're not embracing the streaming nature, different avenues to watch games, you're having a tough time right now.
It is a little bit tough. You got to pay that $9.99 if you want to see Illinois and Oakland, as the Illini try and improve to 2-0 before a marquee matchup against Marquette on Tuesday. Derek, if you're an Illini fan, you got to hope they're not sleepwalking into this one, trying to get to that Tuesday game, because Oakland presents some challenges tonight.
They certainly do. They only lost by 6 on the road against Ohio State in the opener, and really were leading for a lot of that game. They were up on Ohio State at half, and it wasn't until about 5-6 minutes left in the game, Ohio State pulls ahead, and really it was dicey until the very final horn. I mean, Ohio State with like 30 seconds to go was up 3. Oakland shooting a ton of threes, and they got a guy over there, Jack Golke, who comes in from the D2 level. Took 18 threes against Ohio State. He made 6 of them. He was the game's leading scorer with 18. Blake Lampman's another guy that shoots a lot of threes from the outside. So Greg Campy's going to let them play free and easy offensively. Trey Townsend is a 6'6" forward that was an all-league guy last year, a preseason all-Horizon League pick this year too. A nice versatile forward that can score really from different areas on the floor. Mid-range game, inside. I think Coleman Hawkins going to draw that matchup. And then Rocket Watts, familiar name at point guard, a guy that freshman year at Michigan State coming in here to Champaign, game high 21 points, and he, for whatever reason, hasn't panned out and been the same guy through his career. Bounced around a little bit, Michigan State, Mississippi State, now he's here at Oakland, but this team has some talent. I don't think they're going to be scared of Illinois in terms of their ability to hang around, and if Illinois is as uninspired as they were earlier against Eastern Illinois, it could be a battle for sure.
What did you learn from that Eastern Illinois game, and what are some key points they need to improve upon after that first showing in a game that actually counted? We're not going to talk about Kansas in that sense.
Yeah, no, I think that it's still a team, and I don't want to take grand takeaways after one game. And it's easy, I think, because there are a lot of familiar faces from last year. It's like, okay, we're yet again in a situation where this team's going to be inconsistent. We're yet again going to have a rash of slow starts and poor free throw shooting. It was really reminiscent of last year for a good stretch of that game against Eastern Illinois, but especially the first 10 to 12 minutes where Illinois is losing that game. But I think that Brad probably emphasized, number one, rebounding for sure. Eastern Illinois got way too many offensive rebounds, too many second chance points. Illinois has to just be more physical, more assertive on a night-to-night basis, regardless of who's on the other side in terms of the opponent and what it says on the jersey. So I don't worry about them getting up for Marquette. I would hope that based on what Oakland showed against Ohio State and just kind of the type of practice they probably had, Illinois did the last couple of days, they'll be inspired for this one. But I also really highlight Coleman Hawkins. He was not very good at all against Eastern Illinois. You need someone that's going to be a leader, a veteran, a guy that you run a lot of offense through to show up and be more engaged and making better decisions. So I think early on indications of what he's doing, especially we'll talk more about this, but Oakland playing a 1-3-1 zone defensively. I think Coleman kind of operating in the middle of that zone, making decisions and being able to when scoring opportunities present itself, he could be a real factor tonight. So we'll see what his bounce back looks like. But Illinois just overall, just bring it from the start.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
What was it, the triple-double last year in the season opener? I think it was for Coleman Hawkins. First couple of games, it wasn't the season opener. It didn't have that.
Yeah, triple-double against Syracuse. Yeah. The 2-3 zone. Last year, the opener against Eastern, he hit 5 threes.
Good. We did not see that in the first game for Coleman Hawkins. One offensive rebound from the starters. I thought that was notable. And really, it's like, okay, you want to play, you're going to get up for these games. We haven't really seen Illinois not get up for big games recently. It's been some of the other games where they haven't made free throws. They haven't shot a lot of threes well. And this is a team that shot 35 threes, Oakland is, in that season opening loss to Ohio State, like you mentioned. They made 14 threes. Look, if they make 10-plus threes tonight, and I don't think they're going to be intimidated by this atmosphere. They play these teams all the time. They're going to give themselves a chance to win, or at least a chance to keep this close in the second half, and then you never know what will happen after that.
No, that's a great point. I would fully expect that out of Oakland, and really they're going to challenge Illinois in terms of just sticking to shooters and making sure that their recognition of Oakland's actions. They're going to run some half-court sets, get some shooters off the screens, and as we see, I know Illinois fans are probably tired of hearing about last year's Penn State team, but it's just a good reference point for a team that has shooting. That if you let them get confident early in a game, what that could mean later on when the shots are tougher. But they're still going in because those guys are feeling good about their night and they're settled in to this arena. So you got to avoid that against Oakland. They are going to take a lot of those threes. I think Illinois, obviously, I will say Brad Underwood, his squads in recent years have done a good job of limiting quality looks from three, if not just their overall attempts. They would rather make you drive it into the lane. So that's what I'm looking for in terms of Illinois defensively, offensively. You want to, against that 1-3-1, not settle for those outside shots, be able to attack the gaps in the zone, move the ball around the perimeter. It just felt like Illinois was too stagnant. For as good as they did against Kansas, of having a good flow about them, cutting, everything it was great movement. It was good team basketball. Against Eastern, they just seemed to get a little complacent and settled. So tonight against the 1-3-1, don't make one pass and take a decent three. Try to work it to the shot clock, drive the gaps, make Oakland foul you, which they did a lot against Ohio State. Illinois, of course, have to make free throws, but Illinois is the bigger team, the more athletic team. Really take it to them tonight and be aggressive.
Yeah, no doubt the more talented team, and I think that depth showed in that first game against Eastern where we saw Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn go for a game-high 18 points. I was really impressed with some of the other guys, too. I thought Amani Hansberry flashed a little bit. We saw, some of that, extended depth that I think Illinois could certainly use this season. I didn't expect it to see in game one from Dre, but here we are.
It was fun, man. He's talented.
Yeah.
He's very, very talented and a lot of swagger about him. He got going, and everybody in the building knew about it. I mean, I think the ability to, especially when Illinois needed that spark. Offensively, things were not going well. You're trailing to Eastern Illinois, and really just kind of the juice and the pop wasn't there for Illinois. So he goes in there, he gets a nice putback, follows it up with two takes in transition to get to the rim and finish. Ends up hitting a couple of threes later in the game. Defensively made some plays, even having a handful of assists as well. So I just think it was a great confidence builder is the wrong term to use with Drake.
He's got confidence
because he doesn't need to add any confidence. But it's just showing himself that, all right, this is a game that counts. This is my entry point into college basketball, and hey, I can go out there and make an impact for this team. Especially with Sincere Harris's decision to redshirt, Brad might call upon him even earlier if he kind of gets the sense that, all right, my team doesn't have a lot of bite or energy to them, or I just need to change the momentum in this game. So great to see out of him. Amani is just very consistent in terms of his approach. He's just one of those dirty work big men that's going to, watch out for the camera.
More pregame show antics here, dude.
Blocker charge. I think the camera was set.
It was set.
That's definitely going to be a charge. The refs are talking about more emphasis to call more blocks. That was a charge. It was absolutely a charge. Anyways, Amani also hit a three, too.
Yeah.
He stepped out and hit a three. So
I thought the rebounding was good for him as well.
Rebounding was good.
Great debut for him. Dre got a lot of the pub in that, which is fine.
Yeah.
Amani was sneaky. This is a good debut.
Yeah, I mean, what did he play? Probably 16,
14 minutes,
16 minutes, and 8 points, 7 rebounds, somewhere in that range. That's really productive.
If they get that, man, they're going to be doing just fine.
Yeah, and he'll push certain guys. If Quincy only had 1 rebound in that game against Eastern, and that's something for Brad. I know he's going to appreciate this year. Last year didn't have the same amount of depth, and even within that depth, last year there were a lot of freshmen. So this year. Now, we're talking about freshmen in this sense, but if somebody's not bringing it, guys like Dre, guys like Amani, guys like Luke Goody, who had a nice bounce back. He didn't play very well against Kansas, came out, gave Illinois some rebounding, 6 boards, 9 points, hit 3 threes. That's where that depth will keep those starters in check, but also just extend your bench and allow you to really hurt some people in that second rotation.
We'll see how it all plays out tonight in game number 2, and if Illinois can build upon it. You mentioned Sincere Harris. Caught a lot of people off guard, including the players. We talked to Luke Goody yesterday, and he's like, look, he didn't tell us until right before the game. You mentioned Dre in there as well as somebody's going to have to step up. But he was the defensive stopper, Derek. So how do they make up for that loss with Sincere electing on his own accord, what Brad told us, to sit out this season and try and get stronger?
Yeah, I think Dre's one of those guys you're going to look to in terms of an energy spark. Justin Harmon's a very gritty defender that brings some of the same things that Sincere does. I think he's just more of a more experienced, offensively capable version. They're not the exact same. I think Sincere's a little bit more twitchy and athletic and whatnot, but I think you can make up for Sincere's absence, obviously. But we're talking about a guy who, yes, he's offensively challenged right now. He's not able to really bring a lot in terms of perimeter shooting, but he turned some games last year. UCLA, what he did on Tiger Campbell, Texas against Marcus Carr.
Just don't tell Mick Cronin.
Yeah,
remember he wasn't having it.
He's
not, like, who's Sincere Harris?
Not feeling that.
That was funny. Vegas moment.
He was quite angry about that. Speaking of Vegas moments, we were reminiscing Stadium Swim, which I miss very much.
It's almost been a year now, Derek. Can we go back to the bowl game? Maybe Jeremy, I think should cover a bowl game.
Maybe. I'd be down. I might just fund my own way.
There you go.
Well, I don't know if my wife is expecting our second kid here soon.
Probably
be down
not.
for that, but,
maybe not a good life choice there.
That's either here or there. But, yeah, I think that it's obviously a decision that Sincere's making. I think it makes total sense as far as Sincere, maybe big picture. He's got 3 years left of eligibility. He says, I don't want to play 10 minutes a game for one of those final remaining 3 years. He wants to put himself in a position to have a bigger role. And that's not necessarily surprising. The timing was a little bit surprising. As far as Illinois goes, I don't think there's any doubt. Well, maybe Brad can come out and said it directly. They didn't want him to redshirt. They weren't pushing that at all. They want that defensive stopper to be able to be within their utility belt.
Absolutely.
To throw it out when needed. So they'll miss him. They'll miss him for sure. And we'll see what that development looks like in terms of big picture for him. And let's be honest, people are going to wonder, is he going to stick around beyond this year? And that's kind of the nature of the portal right now. And Illinois will go back to the portal and add some other guys, and we'll see what Sincere thinks about his role beyond this season.
Interesting to note, too, the portal's not open. Guys can't go in right now.
Right.
At least officially get in, right?
The window, I had to ask around about this because this is going to shock you. The NCAA is not very clear on what their actual rules and guidelines are. So the window that's out there it goes from Selection Sunday for the next 45 days. That window applies to non-grads who want to be immediately eligible. So you can technically go in the portal right now. You just have to sit if you were to go somewhere else. So that's what was voiced to me. So he could, if he wanted to, mid-year transfer. He just wouldn't be able to play right away if he went somewhere else. And then he'd be able to get those uses one time for the following season. So it's unclear in terms of what that says publicly, but that's my interpretation of it. And I had to ask some people around the basketball world to get that clarification.
The reality is most guys don't want to sit. They want to go and play.
Right.
And so that is the untraditional approach nowadays for people. And if you're going to go in, if you're going to sit out, we'll see. I mean, we've had no reason to believe that's the case, but it does just open up a can of worms in a box and some thoughts for people. And I think it's also fair in this day and age, Derek, of just like, okay, well, is he going to be here?
No, and you ask that a lot these days about a lot of people. I think you go to the off season. It doesn't matter how much you play. You played 0, you played 30 minutes a game, like maybe down the stretch Jaden Epps did, and the questions are,
it doesn't matter. They're still gone.
Yeah, are these guys staying or not? So Sincere, just the idea, maybe Jaden Schutt's doing this at Duke. He's a sophomore. He's going to redshirt. It'll be very interesting in terms of just a reference point of what decisions both those guys make. Are they redshirting to stay at their same destination, or are they redshirting to preserve eligibility to go elsewhere? We'll ultimately see how that factors in. I think with Sincere, just kind of hearing some stuff during the offseason was that he wanted a bigger role after playing 15 minutes a game as a freshman. Justin Harmon comes in, and I think he had a chance to compete for it and earn it. It didn't pan out maybe the way that he thought, at least as far as the outlook going into the season. So as Illinois will bring back Dragan Lawhorn, they'll bring in obviously Jace Butler. They'll then go to the portal and try to load up. We'll see what Sincere ultimately thinks of that. And that's just the reality.
Yeah, Derek, I always put it this: it's a two-way street. Players have options, and so do coaches.
Yeah.
And that's just the way college basketball is.
And a lot of people, not to belabor this, but a lot of people want to say, "Oh, it's Brad's fault." Like,
no, dude, it goes both ways in my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, there's opportunity. Go beat the guys in front of you.
Yes.
Right? And it's just the way it is.
Yep.
I don't know that it's any more personal than that. The coaches want the players to succeed. The players want to succeed, but if you don't go in the spot, then it is what it is.
Yeah, players want to play.
Okay.
And
it doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
Doesn't.
I mean, it just is what it is. That's what college sports are these days, and that's just the reality. You can hate it, you can love it, you can be somewhere in the middle. It's just the reality of the situation and what it is. All right, Derek, let's wrap up here. What you got tonight? What are you thinking? Spread is 24.5.
I think it's high. I think the spread is high. I've been digging back. Greg Campy has played some Big Ten teams tough, not just Ohio State. Last year, his squad goes up to East Lansing and plays within 12 points. You go back to 2020, played a Michigan team in Ann Arbor. They ended up going to the Elite Eight. That game went to overtime. So he's familiar with playing these Big Ten teams.
No doubt.
I think he's got enough talent to be competitive. Now, look, Illinois plays their A game tonight, and Oakland doesn't hit threes. Illinois can blow them off the floor. I think that's very well within possibilities as far as what can happen. But I personally think Oakland will hang around. I told you this before we turned the mics on. There's a slight chance that Rocky Watson 4 years ago just sees this court and just reemerges and kind of has a breakout. I think that could happen. So with that, all that in mind, I think that Illinois wins. I think they do come out with more urgency. I just respect Oakland enough to say it's less than a 20-point win in my mind. I had it at 83-67. Okay. Illinois wins by 16.
Okay. I'm going to take 78 to 61. Prove us wrong. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's a 35-point game. Look, I agree. If Oakland doesn't make shots, it's going to get out of hand.
Right.
Or maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Hey, what do we know, right?
We don't know, and I don't have money on it. What I do have money on is Caleb Love to score 15-plus points against Duke and with Coach K in the building.
All right, Piper's giving out locks here. I love it.
There we go.
You usually got to pay for that on the site.
Yeah.
Check out Illini Inquirer. Plenty to read there. Is Luke Altmaier playing? I don't know. We'll have to see. Football, basketball, crossover season. Women's basketball is good as well. We've got it all, and we'll rejoin you on these same digital channels coming up after the game to hear the post-game press conference live. For Derek Piper, I'm Brett Behrens. Thanks so much for watching. Illinois and Oakland, 7 o'clock on BTN+.